one of the first key areas of rethinking is the way that macroeconomic policy rethinking will have to be engaged in, and this report is very strong and emphatic in the way that at some of the traditional ways of thinking, for example, in the areas of fiscal tightening, retracting of fiscal policies, comes at a time that is really not only misconceived but also quite inept. This is not a time to be compressing, to be putting pressure more on the demand, but it's a time that we need to be able to see that the debt deflation process will still have to be supported by the rise in demand, and if the private sector still is very much in the debt deflationary mode, the public sector will need to be looking at various policies that would be able to support that demand. So the first area of macroeconomic rethinking, I would say, is in the area of the creation of fiscal space. At the moment, what we are seeing is a lot of fiscal retrenchment, what this report calls fiscal retrenchment, meaning the cutting down of budget expenditure, cutting down on wages, on public programs, which has actually produced negative impact on aggregate demand, which in turn actually results in the reduction in tax base and also in low fiscal revenue. So ultimately, by thinking that the countries under the pressure of debts, under the pressure of fiscal deficits, to be able to achieve the reduction in debts and deficits by doing fiscal retrenchment, what they are getting is just more of the deficits, exactly. and also more yes, and the squeeze on the income, particularly on the tax base. So actually here, what we have seen in the past, and we never learn, is that countries tend to have excessive belief in the financial markets. And we've seen times and again that the financial markets actually are not very sound in their judgment. But still people keep thinking that they are doing these austerity measures because they want to please the market so that the market can give them better ratings, including the rating agencies, which sometimes do not always produce the best assessment.
We put the fiscal policy into the center of this report because we have to begin to understand that fiscal policy is not an isolated action, and that we are not dealing here with a private household kind of cutting experiment that will end up in a positive way because the rest of the world does not change. If all the governments in the world are cutting down, they will end up in disaster. That's absolutely sure. And if people say there are so-called non-Keynesian elements, then I ask myself the question, so the most direct, the most simple, the most clear-cut effects we deny, we say they are not there, but some complicated artificial effects that some economists have thought about long, for many years, for decades, to find out some non-Keynesian effect, they are there. They are definitely there. We will see how it ends, but it will unfortunately be disaster for us all. Look at the United Kingdom. What they done, this experiment that will go into a recession. The Secretary General mentioned the PMI for United Kingdom is below 50 already. So if you go on cutting now because you hope on the non-Keynesian effects, you will see that the economy is going into recession. What will happen to the British deficit? It will go up. It will not go down. It will go up. And that is what the same will happen in the United States. And this is indeed the Japanese experience. If you have deleveraging of the private sector, if you have people with non-existing positive expectations for their future income, then you can cut as much as you want. You go deeper and deeper into the malaise.